What is going on, boys and girls of YouTube? We're back at it. We're recording a tier list today. Usually I end up doing this on stream just because that's where people ask for it. I've been waiting because my website guy was out vacation doing things. Website wasn't updated, didn't have Shibalanke. Well, we're 2 days away from Osiris. Not his fault. We're just gonna jump into a tier list, including Osiris. I have, I think, like 10 games on Osiris, between Osiris and Osiris Aspect. So we'll do that. We're gonna throw it in. I don't actually have it on the website, so I'll tell you where it goes, and then I'll throw a little image up there or something so you guys get it. Let's get into this. So, tier list. This is, I don't even know what patch we're on. I'm gonna put Osiris patch at the top just so we know, and we're gonna go through it. Hi-Rez is doing a mini update type of thing. Well, mini update. They're doing like an actual update with this patch. There's a bunch of nerfs, changes coming. Example, Poly's getting nerfed. Pendulum's getting nerfed. I think, did Lash get nerfed again? I think Lash might have got nerfed again. The Blues Ultra on Twitter does a little write-up. Ares is getting nerfed. Fender is getting nerfed. Hades getting fixed. Ho Yi getting nerfed on the 3. Loki Aspect, we know there's, well, you guys might know, on PTS, they've reworked Loki Aspect. He's a way better support. Like, his aspect is actually a true aggressive support. Jingwei's getting a buff. Nua's getting a buff. Both of those are crazy. Bari's getting a buff because she doesn't get played anymore. Wukong's getting a nerf. Thanatos fix. Tsukiyomi nerf. Morrigan buff. Some of the buffs are very minor. Shibalanke nerf to the 2. There's good changes coming. I mean, this patch, I won't say that this patch is hype, but it's more hype than it has been because we're getting 2 aspects and a new god, as well as massive balance. And I say massive because Lash is getting nerfed, Vital Amp's getting nerfed, Riptalon's getting nerfed, Learning Bow's getting nerfed, Pendulum and Poly are getting nerfed. Those are major changes. Even if they're minor nerfs, it's a lot at once. So I'm excited for that. So this tier list is going to be based on those things, based on the changes coming and what I've played. Because I have played with a lot of these items already being nerfed already. Just so you guys know. I realize I've seen so much. Weekend doesn't know anything with my tier list. My friends play in gold and do really, really good with these gods. Okay, look. In those brackets, if you're truly a gold, plat, honestly, even diamond and Smite 2, you're a silver, whatever player, you might be really, really good with a god that just resonates with you, that isn't a top god, and you can farm the other really bad gold players with it. That's a normal thing. There are people in high rank games that can only play 1 or 2 gods really well. If they play anything else, they get worked. That does not change the fact that these gods are, in fact, this good if you are able to play them correctly. That's what this tier list is about. It's telling you, hey, if you don't know what to play or you want to play what's really good and gives you the best opportunity to excel, here's the gods for that. So, with that being said, Achilles, A tier. Agni, A tier. Why? It's always why. It's the same reason why. Achilles is extremely basic. He doesn't win every solo lane. His team fight is good if he's able to get to the back line, but if the other team has CC, he does struggle. Yes, Achilles can be very tanky, but Achilles also can be left out to just be killed. Hunters are very strong right now. I do think warriors are very strong. Difference being late game scaling. This is going to apply to a lot of gods. Late game scaling is in favor of damage dealers. They get 3k pots that do more damage. Tanks don't get tankier. However, tanks do more damage. So that's the trade-off. Most people who play tanks think they can just walk at people and do whatever they want. Not the case once you get to late game. You start to do more damage. So you need to play more like Assassin-y, which is not a problem because you can kill people. You are still tanky. You can still eat a couple abilities, but it's not full tank. It's not what people are used to playing. And Achilles really heavily falls under that late game. I don't even know what I'd call it. Under those late game parameters, Achilles falls just, you know, not quite S tier, but still very good. Aladdin, still OP if you know how to play him. He's strong. Like, his late game, he one-shots. It's no more, no more difficult than that. Amaterasu, B tier. Maybe even C tier. Nah, I'll say B tier. I want to be fair with these. She's not a solo laner right now. Auto attack gods are not meta in the solo lane. They might not be ever or for a very long time. But the lower rated you are, the better this god is. If you get a kill in lane, you snowball easily. If you're a jungling on this god, you win 1v1s. All right, let that be clear. Ama full damage can win 1v1s very, very easily. You do not win anything else. You don't win team fights. You can't go into 1v2s. You die too fast. But because of how lower games are played, there's lots of 1v1s. You can then do objectives. I'll put her in B tier. I'll be fair. But if you're talking about high rated games, she's C tier. Honor, I like Honor. I like Honor with or without aspect. We have aspects, we'll do those after. Without aspect, you're better at killing tanks, so it's a really good ADC to just kill the front line. And that's it. Anubis. All right. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. I'm putting Anubis in A tier. I figured something out the other day. I'm sure someone will say, I've been doing that. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. Nobody's been doing this in big boy games. I had a weird interaction back and forth on Twitter. You can go look it up. The guy tried to like kind of trash talk after one of my custom games, even though he's on my team, and he ended up being really wrong. But it led to me explaining Barbed Carver to him. And when I was explaining it, I had the realization of, hey, Barbed Carver ticks on every proc of an ability. Anubis ult hits 50 times. It would proc 50 times. So I then went and tested this. Anubis ult can do a bonus of 2,000 damage with Barbed Carver. I know it sounds weird, but it is what it is. Hi, Kelly. It is what it is. All right. I think it's very strong. It's ridiculous damage. I do think obviously better lower rated because it's Anubis. So you have to be hyper aggressive. You lose the aggression, you die. But with that item alone and with a lifesteal build and with lifesteal being changed, I'm putting Anubis in A. I think the big thing, the real thing is that lifesteal was changed where you can't be anti-heal down to 0. And that makes Anubis stronger than he ever was. It makes Bancroft's viable when it wasn't. So I'm putting Anubis in A. Aphrodite, I don't like Afro. She heals for nothing. If you don't have int, you heal for 90 on your 3. If you have int, I think you can heal for like 150 or 160 or something like that with a normal like mage build. It's not enough healing to be relevant. She does decent damage if you full combo the 3 ult 3. But then you're just kind of dead. I really don't like her. I don't think she should be played unless you are fully playing around her. Like your entire comp and everything is around making sure she can play. All your bans are so gods like Odin aren't in the game. Only way she can be played. Apollo, I like Apollo. I think he's a fairly safe ADC with really good rotation potential. Ares, I would have put Ares in S tier. Now the nerf to Ares is that his ult no longer cripples. So that means gods with movement abilities that make them knock up immune, like Agni Dash, can break the chains and not get pulled. They added cripple to Ares because he was weak. He was very weak, where his ult just would never land. So they're reverting it, essentially, to where it no longer cripples. I think I'm going to put him in A to be safe. He might still remain S tier, but I have a really strong feeling he's going to be just knocked down a little bit, maybe even down to B. Artemis, A tier. I don't like art a lot, but the heavy W key of art is the better. The lower ranked you are, the better it is, and it works all the way up into big boy games. I see it all the time. You pretty much just run at people. Make sure you trade a 1-for-1, and if you play it right, you might end up living, and then you win the team fight. I like Athena. I'm going to move Athena down, though. I think the taunt duration is still a problem, and then with gods like Ares being played a lot, it makes it really hard, makes it very difficult to play consistently. I do think that if you get away with a massive cooldown, like selfish build, Athena is very good, and the ultimate is underrated. But you need a ton of cooldown because your taunt, I think your taunt's on like an 18-second cooldown or 16 seconds. Your ult's on a long cooldown. You need cooldown. All right. Now, I thought they were buffing a Wheelix again, but they did not. I don't like a Wheelix. I think she's very gimmicky. I think there's so many cripples in the game that are good and so much CC in the game that's good that getting away with Blink is nearly impossible, which makes someone like a Wheelix bad or worse than she should be. Bacchus, I'd put in B tier. I think his laning phase is good. I think his team fight, he just dies. Supports in the late game just die. That's it. Bari, C tier until I see these buffs. I don't think the buffs are enough. It's a base damage to the lob of 25. It starts at 5 and goes up to 25, and then reduce cooldown. That is a big change. I don't know that it's enough to put her in any position because mages are better. Like pure regular mages are just stronger. And Bari was really good when she could be played as a strength ability god, and that's kind of fallen off because they're shifting her more towards int. We'll see. We'll see. I like Baron a lot. I think Baron mid. Actually, let me be realistic here. Baron mid is very good, but you will die a ton if they are aggressive. If their comp is aggressive or if they play aggressively towards you. You basically sit on the tower until you can spam kite around. That's like 5 or 6 items. You can rotate. You can have really good rotations. But if the other team is gunning for you in the mid lane, which is the only place this god should be really played, you can play it support. Not consistent support, but you can play it support. In mid, you are going to get pressured out, and that's why I'm putting him in a B tier. Bellona. I don't like Bellona. I think auto attack warriors are weak, and I don't think Bellona works consistently in the jungle. I'll put it B tier. I have to be fair. I think it's similar to Alma. Kabrakan, I think Kabrakan's very good. I ban Kabrakan a lot because he's just so tanky. Honestly, I'm gonna put Kabrakan in S tier. Can be played support, solo, wouldn't play a jungle. It does seem at some point we're gonna get a Kabrakan aspect that will make him a better jungler, but we'll have to wait and see. Serb, not a huge fan of Serb. I don't think he has a good place in the game yet. I think the fact that he's not a great solo and he's not a great support kind of just boosts him down a little bit. Guardians are not great in solo lane. They're just items items and base numbers are scaled around warriors being better in that lane. And then Guardians in the support role serves an aggressive support, but there are so many things that can make him not good. Cripples, interrupts on the breath, just diving, killing supports is a very viable option if the support doesn't get a lead. So if you can't win the lane to the point where you get kills or you just get level leads, XP leads, you can't really consistently play him. With that being said, he is still a very, very good aggressive support. It's just you need to be able to play both sides of the support role. CERN, C tier. He's not safe, hard to get away with. In the jungle, you're playing aspects, so this isn't, it doesn't pertain to this. It's just hard to play. You don't have really good movement. You have no CC immunity. Your ult is valuable in team fights, but it's easy to dodge. Your burst doesn't really exist. You're almost a pure auto attack god that just doesn't have good stims. Your one is viable and valuable for you. Trust me, I get the cycling of it, but it just doesn't compare to the gods with more movement, more built-in stims like, like Cupid has, free attack speed, or Izanami, it's the proc more attack. Like those things are really, really valuable in that quick engagement that you have versus CERN just always having these stats. I still like full damage Chalk solo. I'm gonna put him in B tier. I like it a lot. I don't like tank Chalk. I think it's pretty irrelevant. Full damage out of the solo lane is scary. Chalk jungle, not as viable, too easy to lose pressure. Your early clear is just bad, so you struggle at jungle farm. B tier though for solo. I like Cupid. I put Cupid in A tier. Good sustain, good laning phase, has CC. Cripples are valuable. The downside to Cupid, the only downside in my opinion, is no CC immunity. That's it. That's the one downside. Danza, I like Danza. I don't think he's the best ADC in the game. I put him in B tier, but I do like Danza. I think it's a good god to have on your team. I think the 1 damage output is very underrated. The 2 CC is valuable. I like Danza. I just don't think he competes with a lot of these other ADCs that are, consistent. The consistency isn't there. Fender getting nerfed. I don't know why Fender's getting nerfed. My assumption is he farms in lower rated games. But I've run these Elo Hells and Elo Heavens in lower rated games, and he just gets worked, does nothing. So I don't fully understand it outside of, my guess is he snowballs. People get 1 or 2 kills early, and all of a sudden he's the best god in the game. But if they don't get those 1 or 2 kills early, then he's the worst god on the team. I'm going to put him in B because of his inconsistency. Ganesh support, I like Ganesh support. It's one of my favorite supports to have on my team. Good defense, insanely good defense. If you play Ganesh to silence whoever's diving your carries in the late game, the carries will kill that person before the silence ends. You literally can engage like with a 3 and an ult and then back off and just silence whoever's diving your carries and you will win the game. Flip side, if your team is full dive or aggressive and you knock somebody up, they're trapped in your ult, they can't get out of your ult, whatever, and then you silence them on top of it, they're not getting away. They can't use actives. They can't do, like, they're not, they get beats, but like they're not going to be popping Aegis. They're not going to be removing damage input. They're just going to die. So this god plays good on both sides. Geb, I think Geb is severely underrated. You need to understand how to play Geb in both styles, as I just explained with Ganesh, but his damage output is ridiculous. If you've ever looked at Geb's ultimate, the damage is like the pure just damage this god can do with a full tank build is ridiculous. I think his base 2 is also like 400 some damage. And if you land the knockup from the 3 into a base 2 or into an ult into a base 2, like I say base, like no damage items too, you're doing half of a squishy's health as a support. That's just locking somebody down. Then on top of that, you have a slow if you want it. You have the shield to keep your teammates alive. Your cooldowns are not super long. I like Geb. I just think your average player struggles on playing him both ways. Guan, I'm just not a fan of Guan. I'm really not. Even with the changes to healing, it just doesn't seem as viable. I think it's because the damage is scaled. It's channeled ability, so it's scaled over time, which is not usually in favor of meta of the game that we're in, where people can die very, very quickly the later the game goes, like that. I have seen Guan do well, but I do think it's extremely circumstantial and not consistent, so I'm going to put him in C tier. Hades, I don't think they can figure Hades out. Either make Hades do decent damage and be unkillable, or make Hades do insane damage and be killable. Like this in between where he doesn't really do damage and he does still die, I just don't understand it. They buffed Hades, or they fixed Hades. It wasn't even a buff, as a fix. I don't think that's gonna change anything. I'm honestly gonna put Hades in D tier. I really don't think you should be playing Hades. Not you're trolling, like F tier complete dog, worthless, but it's pretty low. Hecate, she's on a comeback. I don't know what it is. She's getting played a ton right now. I compared her to Smite 1's Persephone, but not exactly. Okay, don't get me wrong. Smite 1's Persephone, people don't remember for whatever reason, but there was like 3 total players in the world that could play her. Everyone else was not doing anything on her. They could pick her, but they weren't doing anything. They might have thought they were not. There was literally 3 players at the highest level of play who played her correctly. Hecate's almost there. She's not as difficult. You do have to understand her. You need to read her abilities. Most people have no clue what her kit does. They don't use her passive at all. If you didn't know, if somebody gets a kill, she can buff that person and give them a ton of strength and int. Like, I think it's like 30 strength and 50 int, just for like 5 minutes or something like that. Like, it's just a free buff. That's an item. She can give an item to a teammate. Think about that, first of all. She can also buff towers to give her more sustain. So if she's getting poked and having weird fights in lane, she can walk back into her tower, sustain. But outside of that, the 1 has the mez. The 2 you put up before abilities get used to eat abilities to hit harder. The 3 has a lot of viability. The ultimate usage is what will win you the game. And I think that is just, people can't grasp it. Your average player is not getting it. And I see it over and over and over again. But these high level players are going crazy with her right now. They're prioritizing her. They think she's one of the top 2 mages. I respect it. I don't think everyone should play it, but I'm going to put her where, you know, everyone thinks she is. Hercules, I like Herc. I like Herc jungle more than solo. In solo, if you are able to out pressure the enemy solo laner and rotate a lot, crazy value, because Herc is a beast at trying to, it's so hard to kill a god. Once again, similar to Achilles, the later the game goes, the worse he gets. In jungle, I like him a lot, but his jungle clear is slow. And with the shift to the jungle, where they changed the mid camps timers to be later in the game, the faster clearing jungler has more value in the first 2 minutes than the slower killing jungler. Hercules is the slower clearing jungler every time. He wants to fight. He doesn't want a jungle clear. So he's falling down for me. Hou Yi. I think Hou Yi is still probably the tied for first in Hunter with Shibalake. So I'm going to put Hou Yi here. Safe. That 3 change made Hou Yi almost impossible to gank unless he's being aggressive. The ult change made his ult crazy. It's easy to hit bounces on this map. He's a very, very, very strong god. Do me a favor though. For some reason, high res is set up so it tells you to level the 2. Don't do that. Level the 3. Level the 2. You're supposed to level the 2. High res has the recommended or something, or the auto leveler to level the 3. Don't level the 1, the ult, the 2, the 3. Hunbats. Hunbats is just consistent. High damage. Do not go stun bats. Just go regular Hunbats. This is for base. Strong ult, late game damage scales crazy. I like Hunbats a lot in current game. Izanami, her dash sucks. That's why she's T tier. Janice. I think Janice is the best mage in the game. At almost any stage at this point, as long as you learn to use your 1 for movement after like the 5 to 10 minute mark, you like use it for movement 99% of the time, you will be a god at Janice. The god is meant to 2, move, 2, move, 2, move. Not 1, wait, 2, then get stuck. Throw your 2 out, portal away. Throw your 2 out, portal away. The god is impossible to stick with, does crazy damage, and is a lot easier to play, in my opinion, than Smite 1, just because of the way the map is set up and because of the way abilities seem to just be snappier in Smite 2, so they're easier to land. Jingwei. I saw her getting played a ton recently. I like crit builds more than yellow number builds right now. Yellow numbers builds are still good. Crit can be counterplayed, but people usually don't counterplay it. I'm going to leave her in B until I see more. But I do think Jingwei is on a slight comeback, and she's getting buffed again. Maybe. I'll leave her in B, but maybe A. I can see an argument to be made. Jormungandr. Not a big fan of Yorm. I'm going to put him in B, though. If you've seen the solo lane build with a ton of lifesteal, it will let you carry out of the solo lane. It's kind of ridiculous. I have it on Smite Source. It's Rip Talon's second item, since at the time of putting the build up, I couldn't put Rip Talon in yet. I think I can now, so I'll change it. But Rip Talon over the book, Bloodbound book. Run it. That's it. I wouldn't play Yorm anywhere else, and I would only play in solo if I'm running that full lifesteal build. And then if you're playing against anything that's super counter anti-heal, like Odin, you're gonna struggle. You can You're not going to struggle as much because you can just burst your way out of the ultimate, but in team fights, you won't sustain. So you need to prioritize getting out of the Odin ult. That's why I have him in B. Kali has seen an insane fall off. Mainly for me, it was because of the change to healing. Kali's passive doesn't sustain enough. When you get a kill, you don't even notice the healing. And I think that on top of nuking her aspect just brings her insanely far down. Not a fan of Khepri. Too many executes in the game. His laning phase is all right, but his team fights are weak. In the late game, if you engage with Khepri, you're going to die before you get to ult anybody. So that your team becomes a man down on the front line, which is rough. Kukulkan, I think, is slightly underrated. Only downside to Kukulkan, in my opinion, is the fact that you don't have CC immunity. But high damage output, the right build, you're able to spam a good amount. You really don't have to just play around the 1 anymore. Your 3 seems to be hitting a lot harder with the mage build having more int. I like Kukulkan. Plus, really, there's so many mana items in the game right now that you're building that Kukulkan super benefits. Loki, I'm not a big fan of Loki, but I don't think he's bad. I think he's a jungler that wants to play cleanup. So it's not a good team god, but it works if you play as that cleanup god and you have good early pressure, assuming you get active on the ganks. Medusa, lower mobility, but I like Medusa. I think Medusa is a strong ADC. I think the ability to stop her from moving, the fact that her dash is going to get caught on everything just brings her down too far. I also do like her passive where if you get a kill with the ult or in the ult debuff duration, you get permanent stats. I think that is crazy, but your average real strong competitive game, meaning it's equally balanced, you don't get a ton of ult kills. You use that ult to start fights more than last hit. So I kind of hope Pyrus changes something about that. Mercury, I wouldn't ban Merc, but he's the fastest farming jungler in the game, and he goes crazy in this current meta. Learning Bow getting nerfed affects him a little bit, but I still think it's gonna one-shot. Like the ult auto into that will one-shot all day. Merlin, top 3 mages, I think, for sure. Another god that's just maybe A tier because of the lack of CC immunity, but he can spam and he can control a lane and he has really good team fights. I like Merlin a lot right now. Just base Merlin, lots of cooldown, builds on Smite Source, do it. Mordred, I think Mordred's overrated. I think Mordred gets a lot of recognition because he wins lane heavily. He hits super hard in your first 4 or 5 levels. My problem, was I saying Merlin on him? Mordred. I don't know if I even said it. I don't know. My brain's all over the place. Mordred, however, in the late game fights is trash in my opinion. Cripples plus hard CC plus the ability to just not get heavy big ulted by him. I think if they made it so Mordred could have 2 little ults automatically or a big ult, like you could pick. I think 2 little ults would be better than a big ult. I think it would go insane having a cripple mini ult and then another one. Just my 2 cents. Mulan got nerfed in the last patch. And Mulan's another one, just like Mordred. I think these two are really talked about a lot because their laning phase is awesome. And people think laning phase wins games when it doesn't. Late game team fights win games. And I think Mulan falls off the later the game goes. I don't think every warrior does, but I think really these two go from crazy spikes in the like first 20 minutes to just gradual decline from 20 to 40 minutes. Neith is OP. Neith is a mid laner. Neith mid lane full mage build is just OP. It's too much damage. You don't really have to be good at rotating because you can ult in every team fight. Neith is OP. Just straight up, it's OP. Nemesis, I think Nem is one of the better junglers right now. The build allows you to basically have no cooldown through 2 rotations of abilities because of Pendulum. I know they're nerfing Pendulum. The cost of Pendulum is going up by 250 gold. That's a significant nerf to the like power spike when you're gonna get it, but that's still the same outcome once you have the item, right? Like you're still gonna do the same things. I think Nemesis is probably the only jungler I don't like to deal with, because if you're in any 1v1 situations, or if just the wrong person on your team or a person on your team has the wrong ability down and Nem can just get an engage off, Nem's gonna 1v2. Nem is gonna insta kill somebody with the ult, then Pendulum Blade and be able to go right on the next person, and it's a very scary fight to take. I don't like it. I'm putting Nuwa A tier. If you've been playing or watching any of my stream, in any of my games, Nuwa mage build, yellow numbers specifically, Conduit Gem, Ancient Signet, I think you're getting Gem of Focus, you're getting Rod, you're getting Pen, you can go Thoth, but if you add the yellow numbers of those 3 abilities hitting at the same time, Nuwa ult starts to push into that 1,1300 damage ultimate range. We even higher. We were running Morrigan and that build on Nuwa, so we had 2 Nuwas, and we were insta-killing every squishy. Like 2 ults, nobody else doing damage, just 2 ults. All squishies are dead if they don't Aegis, And if they're going Aegis and you run Nuwa and you know they're going to go Aegis and your teammates go anything that will destroy them when they don't have beads on Bat Salt, Ares Ult, those things, they can't really play the game. They can't really fight. They can't do much. I think Nuwa is very slept on right now. If you have to go with the build though. You literally have to have the build. The thing is with Conduit Gem and Ancient Signet, if those two items, it makes you able to fight in lane as well. You can kill people once you finish those. You have Conduit Starter and you finish Ancient Gem. You do a lot more damage than is expected. Odin has seen a crazy spike, and in my opinion, it's because he can run a full cooldown build to get multiple ults off in a team fight while still being semi-tanky and somewhat damage dealy. If he does go full tanky, he's very hard to kill though. It's just anti-heal. It's 100% anti-heal and ult. And it makes people get rid of certain actives because they need to have shell. I think Odin just affects the other team so much that he's a good pick. Illa's fallen off a bit. They nerfed her. They changed the healing. I still think she's good and playable and snowballs through bad players pretty well. Lifesteal's still very, very valuable for her. She just doesn't have that great of a team fight, and she dies, and her damage output is so front loaded, meaning you just do the damage and then you kind of exist after that. You aren't really scary. I think that's the big thing. Poseidon. I like Poseidon right now because his cripple doesn't really have a good place to play. He can be jungle or he can be mid. I'd say they're both equal. It's assassins make it very hard for you to play. Range CC makes it very hard for you to play. So gods like Agni will make it very, very difficult for you to have a good time. And I think that's why I would put Poseidon in B. Ra. Super inconsistent. Too easy to dive. There just isn't a great place for Raw unless your team has full control and then you aren't playing the game based around the god. You're playing the game based on your teammates and how good they're doing. Don't like it. Rama, I'm putting Rama in B tier. I think everyone I talk to that's a good ADC player or a pro ADC player will say Rama needs 2 actives and that's why he's not good in Smite 2. I agree with that. I do think that crit Rama is ridiculous. And with the lifesteal, as long as you play beads correctly, you can sustain through most damage in 1v1s or 1v2s in the late game. Scylla, I love Scylla. Still one of my favorite gods. She's just not the same in this game. And I can't even put my finger on what it is. I'm going to put her in B tier. I'm going to be honest. The more like I talk about it a lot, once or twice a week, someone will ask me like, play Scylla or why isn't Scylla played a mid? She's good. Her cripple root is insane. She's got the most mobility in terms of safety. I think it's something to do with the damage output on the 2 and the ultimate. And I don't know what it is. I really don't. Like, she doesn't scare me as a mage anymore. I don't think she's bad. If you argued A tier, I wouldn't say you're wrong if you're able to hit everything. It just feels like it's easier to get away from Scylla abilities in Smite 2 than Smite 1. Sobek, still like Sobek support. Still a top 2, maybe 3 support. Definitely better for lower level players. Consistent. You hit the knockback, which is the 2, and then you pluck them out of it because you can't miss. Easy. Soul. I think Soul is OP and it's being slept on. They're nerfing Vital Lamp by 2. It's losing 2.5% attack speed per stack, which I think it stacks 3 or 4 times. So you're losing like 10% attack speed. I don't think that matters. There's a build that you can go where you're going a crit build and you have lifesteal and Vital Talent. So you can have you go crit starter, you go Devos, you go Rage, you go Rip Talon. Rage, Rip Talon. And then you can finish the build with Deathbringer, Pen, and another crit item, or you can go Deathbringer, Pen, and you can go whatever you want in the build. And I think it's OP. I've run it twice, and it just seems like nothing can beat it. Like literally nothing can beat it. I said this at the beginning. People can play anti-hunter. They can go Spectral, they can go Pharaoh's Curse, they can go Leviathans. They can go items that make hunters do way less, but people tend to not do that. I don't know why. I really don't know why. Wukong still OP. Wukong full mage damage, slamming you with the 1 for 1,000 plus over and over again. Wukong is OP and it's like the one thing I think should always be banned no matter what. I can deal with playing against all these other gods but Wukong. Like even an average Wukong player that understands press 1, right build, you're good to go. Susano got a slight nerf to the ult last patch. Still very, very strong. High damage output regardless of the ultimate. Thanatos. I think Thanatos is situational. I think you need to have a team that's very good at poking so you can play off of late game team fights where you just open with an execute. Maybe you throw a scythe out and then walk back and ult in. But once again, similar to some of these other gods like Ra, that's playing around your team way too much for the god to be considered strong, in my opinion. Morrigan got nerfed. The aspect got nerfed. Regular Morrigan I still think is playable. I think it's very hard to play, but I don't think it's bad. Still a lot of pressure. You have to be good at swapping ults, or you're using your ult to swap in the right gods. Decent. Thor, B tier for me. I like his control, but there's just better assassins and better gods that do the same thing. And that's all there is to it. Like that's it as a jungler. Big problem with Thor is if your team's not running the engages and you're trying to be the one engaging, the other team will react to your ult very easily. I think this god is overrated. And I already know people, this is going to be the one thing that people complain about. Obviously, you can't see the picture. Tsukiyomi. He's overrated. His aspect sucks. Number one. Number two. His ultimate isn't as scary as we thought it was. Honestly, it just isn't. His damage output from his 1-3 at range is very, very good. But if you're playing to just dive on him, he just dies. Like the same way any other mage is bad, because I think he's more of a mid laner than a jungler. But the same issue that other mages have is if you're jumping on Tsukiyomi, who has no mobility, by the way, he just dies. He can't do anything. I think he's overrated. I think people have been hyping up way too much. I see him get banned. I'm like, why? Ul, still very, very strong. I like Ul. I think Ul is a top jungler that most people can't play. And I think he's a viable ADC all the time. I think way more viable with aggressive support, but you can always get kills as soon as you get 3 to 4 items online. Sometimes even 2. Vulcan turret build, so strong. It's so strong, man. Quick tip, if you're playing the turret build, level the turret first. I've seen way too much people just not leveling it. Xbalanque. I think Xbalanque is either on par or better than Hou-Yi. Your lane control is insane. It's very, very hard to gank this god. Your ultimate is insanely viable. For 1, to help your teammates. For 2, to engage. For 3, it buffs your damage ridiculously for those few seconds that you have the longer range, the more damage. Xbalanque works with yellow numbers, works with crit. If you didn't know, the branching bolas, the 1, can crit when it branches. So if you run a standard crit build and your full build, the branching part will crit for 200. So you'll hit the first person for 600, and then the branches can crit for 200. 2 more people. That's a ton of damage. Then the same thing with yellow numbers. The yellow numbers branch and hit again. They're scaled down to 1/3 of the damage, but it's a lot of damage. I think Xbalanque, this is a god that I would rather ban, honestly, than anything but Wukong. Like, these 2 are up there. Just ban them if you're not going to pick them. Yamoja, insanely strong if you can play Yamoja. Maybe the best, the best support, maybe top 2 if you can play her. I'm not even trying to be mean. Most people can't play her. It's not easy to play her correctly and be aggressive. If you can't consistently land the 1 for damage in lane, like when I say consistently, I mean like 90% of the time, don't play her. Because if you can do that, and then you can hit a decent ult in a team fight, you will win the game for your teammates. Ymir, he's trash. I'm gonna be straight up, he's trash. You can play him full damage jungle crit with the build I have and take somebody out and then probably die, which is fun, but it's not good. And then support Ymir is so bad because he just kind of stands there and dies. The channel on his 3 or the windup on his 3 really hurts him, but I think it's more the fact that you hit a stun, they beads it, or AoE beads it, or they have a Magi's or whatever, and then you're just there to die. Like, you literally just end up dying if you can't separate people, and in team fights, it's not going to be consistent on you separating people. Zeus. Been seeing a lot of Zeus. I still think he's too easy to kill. I like him more now than I did before, but I just think he's too easy to kill. That's it. There's a lot of fun builds for him, though. On the aspects, Achilles aspect, same as regular Achilles, in my opinion. The exact same problems. In the jungle, you can do a lot of damage, but CC and just being out in the open, trying to dash, trying to do damage, cripples are going to hurt you. You're going to die very quickly. 3 or 4 autos, you're dead in the late game. It's very difficult to play damage Achilles consistently. Aspect Agni. I think this is insanely slept on. I'm pretty sure at a competitive level, like in the Prime games, they're playing this all the time. And it's a combo of this god, yellow numbers, crit is also viable, and then Lernian Bow. Every time you stun combo somebody, so you ult and 1, they get stunned. That's a free auto attack plus a free Lernian. That will pretty much insta-kill somebody if you're crit build. Like, they're going to just die. They're not going to get to play the game off of something you have up every few seconds. I think Agni aspect is a little, like, I think high-level players understand it. I think everyone else is sleeping on it. Ama, same. Just weaker. Really good at 1v1ing out of the jungle, but that's about it. Honor aspect, I think it's on par. I think it's preference. I really like aspect. That attack speed buff is insane. Neither version of honor is better consistently. It really just depends on how the game is going, and that's not always your control. Like, sometimes the front line is doing better on the enemy team, sometimes the front line is doing better on your team. Really depends. Apollo aspect, I think it's fun. I just don't think it's that good. No place for it as a support. I think it's too controlling, And as a solo, I think you need to snowball, which you should never snowball against good warrior players. Ares aspect, I think it's just weaker than regular Ares. I do not think it's bad. If you're horrible at landing chains, it adds a stun to your kit. However, it takes away sustain, and the sustain is what really pushes him up into being one of the top supports. Art aspect, you can play it, but it's weaker. Having cripple just gives you way more control in team fights, more safety, allows you to get for your kills. The 1v1 in lane or even 2v2 in lane becomes way more in your favor with cripple, so that's why I don't like aspect as much. You can maybe even say it's C tier, but I don't think it's that bad. Athena aspect, I don't like this. I think Athena aspect is terrible. If you don't know, Athena aspect changes the ult. So when you ult somebody, you can ult the enemy team instead of your teammates. When you ult the enemy team, you lose everything from your normal ult, except for that person who is ulted by you is taking 30% bonus damage during your channeled ult. So like a 2-second window of taking bonus damage. Versus regular Athena, who ults your teammate, and you give him a shield, movement speed, and you do damage when you land. Ult a tank every time who can guarantee landing on somebody, and you do an extra 1,000 damage every fight. Like, there's no reason to run Aspect Athena. Aspect Bacchus, I think, is slept on. I think it's a very strong jungler. I think the lower rated you are, the better it is, and I think it's a very good solo laner. You can run it tanky out of the solo lane or full damage crit out of the jungle, and they both, I believe it's so strong because you kill so fast. The downside to this, you don't have CC immunity, cripple hurts you, and you will get like, or not you will, if you are targeted, it's very hard for you to play the game outside of just trying to insta-kill one person. Similar to Agni, you play off of a flop into an auto and an Alertian, bro, and they're instantly dead. You just tend to die a lot when you also run the damage version. The tank version has really high damage output. You live a lot longer when they're targeting you, which is good, and you're really good at diving the backline. Baron aspect. So I put regular Baron B tier. Baron aspect I would put up here in A tier. You're way more spammy, you do more damage. I even like Baron aspect in support. I had someone ask me, why do you like it in support? All you do is damage, you lose all the buffs to your teammates. The damage is the reason. The damage and the annoyance is the reason. It's similar to Scylla aspect. It's not quite as good because Scylla has way more mobility, but it is very strong and it is high pressure. High pressure will win you more rank games than low pressure, guaranteed. Bologna, same as regular Bologna, no different. Bologna aspect, it's the same exact thing. It's not literally the same. With aspect, you get the blocks and lifesteal shared, which makes it a little more valuable to your teammates. It plays the same. Serb aspect, I hate it. It makes your breath last longer, but your ult doesn't throw people a distance. Your ult doesn't actually move them. I think the ult moving them is the key to that god. Certain aspect, fun, but not consistent. Die too quick. Shock aspect, I messed this up, actually. I messed this up. Really, you can run either, in my opinion. Full damage shock is better with aspect because it's more damage, but having some sustain in lane early is not bad. Like, both of these work really, really well. Cupid aspect, it's fallen down a bit. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'd rather you run regular Cupid. Danza aspect, I would put right there with regular Danza. I could see you guys arguing moving them up. Really good at split pushing, though, with the aspect and objective play. Fenrir aspect, they buffed it. Same thing. I think Fenrir's weak. I think the aspect and support is extremely weak. Cripples will make it so you just die consistently. You will die a lot as support Fenrir. Ganesha aspect, I love Ganesha aspect. It's one of my favorite things in the game, but it is weak. They nerfed the jungle clear, and it is just not the same since they took the slow away from the ultimate, as well as some damage changes have definitely impacted him. I think Geb aspect is trash. This god is good because of CC. Taking away CC to have a slightly lower cooldown on the 2 is so bad, in my opinion. Guan, same with regular Guan. Literally the exact same. You play one more based around ints. Where is Guan? Am I blind? There he is. Same exact thing. Akate aspect, this is an assault aspect. Don't play this in Conquest. Herc aspect, completely terrible. The 3 is just so bad. You losing attack speed even in a full tank build is horrible, and you should never play it. Hoyi aspect, terrible. If you don't know what Hoyi aspect does, when you hit 4, I think it's 400 int, which isn't a lot of int, but it's 4 items basically. You get an extra bounce on your 1. Problem is, you have 0 auto attack damage and no other abilities do a ton of damage based on int. So there's no reason to literally never play Aspect Hoyi. Aspect Hunbats, I would say, is weaker than regular Hunbats, but not bad. You get a stun on your 2, which is more aggressive early, but then your fall off damage late is noticeable compared to non-Aspect. Yorm, literally the exact same thing as regular Yorm. There he is. You can run either of these. Regular Yorm makes it so your 1 gives you the ability to attack longer. So hold left click. You don't burn as fast. And then Aspect Yorm, you knock up higher on your 3, but you lose the attack speed on the 1, but you're tankier if you're in your 1. So this is more tanky. Considering I only think this god should be played full lifesteal out of the solo lane, both work the exact same. You just try and see what your preference is. Aspect Kali's been nerfed too much. I wouldn't recommend it. I do not like it at all. Die too easily. Way too easily for the damage output that you have. Khepri Aspect. I would mainly only play regular Khepri, Khepri Aspect over regular Khepri, but they're both the exact same boat. Aspect Loki is coming. It is changing. Most of you guys don't know what it is. I'm going to put it in A tier. So I'll break it down for you. The one no longer stealths. It no longer does a bleed damage, but when you hit somebody, you one and then you walk up and hit somebody, you do still have your mitigations on your one, but when you auto somebody, they get blinded. Your two can be placed on gods. When it's placed on gods, yourself or somebody else, it gives them 25% mitigations. I believe it's 25% mitigations, meaning they take 25% less damage. It does damage around them, and if it hits somebody, it blinds them. That is insanely strong. Your 3 is the same, but it doesn't scale off strength anymore. It scales off of defense and HP. Base 3, if you're doing it from behind, so you're getting the passive of Loki, you can do 500 damage. With items, with a normal support build, you do around 700 damage with that 3 if you're hitting him from behind. Your ultimate seems to be the exact same, so it's a range stun setup. I don't really know. Like the safe place to put Loki would be in B, but I played it against it in solo, played with it in solo, played against it in support, played with it in support. It's really frustrating to play against. It's a hyper aggressive support, and I like that. I think it's fun. Merlin Aspect, I still think it's just as viable as regular Merlin. I think it's preference. Honestly, I'm going to put it in A, though. I think the big thing is the randomness of it brings it down a little bit, and your average player can't always deal with the randomness of the abilities being moved around. Mordred Aspect, I wouldn't play this. You lose defense, and that's just why you should play regular Mordred. It's not as tanky. Aspect Neath, I played this the other day in ADC. I think it's super fun. I think it's a little slept on right now. I think crit build with it is very strong, but you have to consistently keep up that passive, which the passive is anytime you hit a weave, you get attack speed, and you can stack it, I think, 6 times, 5 times, I don't remember what it is, but you can stack it a certain amount of times, and then you just maintain that attack speed, but it's only for 15 seconds. And if you drops, you lose it all. So you have to keep it up, and that's where the god kind of hinders a bit. Also, the lack of CC immunity. Cupid's going to destroy Aneath. Ard is going to be able to destroy Aneath. God's like Hoagi's going to be able to destroy Aneath. The matchups also bring it down a little bit. Nem Aspect, good in solo. I think with Warriors just having Lash and these item changes and the tankiness of them, I think it's a little better, or they're a little better than Nem in solo, but I do think it's still very good on the solo lane. Aspect Nua has fallen off a bit. They nerfed the scaling to the ultimate and critting, and that really brought it down. Ever since then, it's never come back. There's a reason to play attack speed Nua, or crit Nua, sorry, or ADC Nua. Melee Aspect, it's lower. It's not a warrior, and it's no Nem. It's just weaker. Aspect, Poseidon, weak. No spot for it really right now. You're not running auto attack Poseidon, please don't. Aspect Raw, weak. Weaker than regular Raw too. It's cool that you can heal your teammates, but the healing is just so reduced. It doesn't matter. Aspect Rama, it's been nerfed too much. Aspect Scylla, I wouldn't ban it, but it is a top support. I'll put it in A tier to be safe. It's a top support. And people want to know why. You have a cripple root, an AoE cripple root. That alone, good CC, right? But you lack CC in every other way. However, your 2 slows and your damage output, even when you're 1-2 with no damage items, is ridiculous. Then you pair in the ultimate, which can do around 3k damage full build, is insane. It really comes down to your consistency and how aggressive you are early. If you are consistently aggressive early and then your ultimates are hitting the whole match, you are going to run the match for your team. You'll end up being top damage, and you'll win the game for your team. That's why Scylla is where she is. Stomach Aspect is terrible. I see what they went for with the Soul lane gameplay, but it just doesn't work out the same. Soul, I think Soul Aspect is pretty mid as a mage. There's just way better mages. She isn't as consistent as a mage. I think the crit auto attack builds are crazy, and you'd rather just play ADC. I put Wukong up too high. I'm trolling. I keep forgetting that regular Wukong even exists. I put him up here. That was my bad, so undo. Regular Wukong doesn't really get played at all. I don't think it's terrible. It's just not worth playing. If you can get it, you're running Aspect Wukong, which I should have absolutely mentioned. Aspect Wukong is what is OP. You should just ban Wukong because of it, but Aspect Wukong is the thing. If you don't know what the Aspect does, anytime you use your 3, you get locked into that 3. So if you use your bird form, you're locked in the bird form, which is what you should be using. The bird form makes it so the cooldown of your 1 or your 2 is massively reduced, And then the only way to change your 3 is to ult. After you ult, you get to pick a new 3. And then each of them gives a different buff, but you mainly just play the bird form. And then it's the build, the yellow number of damage output. Thanatos aspect, I think it's better than regular Thanatos. I do realize that, yes, they made it, Canes, these items make it bad because your health is going up, but I think the sustain from Thanatos' passive on regular Thanatos, which is when you kill something, you get a big heal. It's so reduced with the change of the healing that there's no reason to play it, and you should just run Aspect. Aspect Morgan got slaughtered. Don't play it. The duration of your clone going out is only 3 seconds now, and it can't go up. That was the nuke to it, so just don't run it. Aspect Thor, I like solo. I even like it in the jungle. It's just same Thor problems. Like, you're tankier earlier, but you have the same late game problems. So Guillaume Aspect is trash. Literally trash. Why? The change is your ultimate does all of its damage off of the beams of the ultimate, and then you only dash to somebody one time. You can't dash them multiple times. And then you land wherever you took off from, which sounds cool, but the damage output is like a third of what a normal ult would be in a non-Aspect Tsukiyomi, so you lose too much damage. I think Aspect Vulcan is worthless. I'll put it D tier. I mean, you can still have a decent laning phase, but you're so bad in team fights. Your damage output doesn't exist. People can just walk past you like you don't exist. Shibalanke Aspect. I put that up here with regular Shibalanke. They nuked the 2 a little bit, but your full damage 2 does 2,000 damage. And if you didn't know, with the Aspect and you ultimate, it resets your 2. If you go Mirrodin, you can have another 2. So key Shibalanke late game aspect is you 2 somebody, you pop Mirrodins, you ultimate, you 2, and you 2. And that doesn't have to be the same person that you hit with everyone. That's 3 2s to spread out and do 6,000 plus damage. Plus then your 3 does bonus damage to all those people. Your 1 hits very, very, very hard. I think leveling the 1 and running in lane is crazy. You don't have to level the 1, sorry. Leveling the 1, like, I think the rank 2, you'll full clear. Even rank 1 might full clear the whole time, and I think it's ridiculous to be able to mid-lane Shibalanke. It's so strong. Aspect Umoja, there's no point in playing it. They did something weird, the last buff to it. They buffed the 1's damage when Aspect makes it so you're spamming the 2, which just threw everything off. If you want to play Umoja, even damage, just run regular Umoja. It's better. It's literally better. It makes no sense. So, that leaves Osiris, which I wanted to like do a little image for Osiris, but I have no way to really do that. I can like screenshot this and write over it, I guess. So we can do a little screenshot of Reno here, and I'll save it. I'll open it in Paint and put in Osiris, I guess. Why not, right? So here's this. Can I just drag and drop this in here? Can I not do that? I'm trying to drag in Osiris. Edit. Oh wait, there. Maybe now. Maybe not. Let me do this. Let's try it one more time. Let's open it with Paint. There we go. We open it with Paint, and then we drag in Osiris. We open it with Paint. Why? Why can't I? Can I just want to add? I want to add it in there. Why won't it let me? Well then, I don't know why it won't let me do that, but we'll just pretend, right? We'll just pretend. Okay. Here's Osiris. All right. So regular Osiris, I think, is going to be ridiculous. I think it's going to be unkillable. I think if you were to pair it with the right items like Onis and things that give you more mitigations, or even having a Loki aspect on your team, you become unkillable. I've been running it in jungle. I've seen it run in solo. In jungle, once you get to hyper late, you start to have the same problems where you die really, really, well, I'm talking like a 50-minute game. Mages are just doing so much damage, you're dying. But I've been going Golden Blade into Avenging Blade into a full defense build with like Berserkers, Pharaoh's Curse, Shoguns, and last item is kind of up in the air. Depends on what you want. You're unkillable for 30 minutes. You can run at the carries and outkill them all day for 30 minutes. It's ridiculous. So I would put it in S tier. Now, I would put Aspect Osiris down here in the A tier. It's a weird playstyle. If you don't know what Aspect Osiris is, you become a mage. Your one, it's hard to explain. So you no longer have the same passive on Osiris. Every few seconds, you get a passive of your bubble. So on regular Osiris, every time you use an ability, you get a bubble passive. Once you use 8 abilities, you proc your passive, right? Well, on this, every time you use your one, you eat 4 of your passives. So you can basically, if you're full passive, you get bonus 16% damage, and then if you use your 1, it eats 4 of them. So you can 1/1. You can like double spam, but then you have no passive. Your 1 scales on it. Your 2 also scales on it. Full build, your 1's hitting for 700. Your 2's hitting for 1100. So if you 1-2-1 or 1-1-2, that will 100 to 0 squishy. Your 3 is basically the same. Your ultimate, however, is not the same. You no longer jump in your ultimate. You throw your ultimate out, and it does a ridiculous amount of AoE damage and slows them. It looks the same, but you don't go with it. So the problem with that, and the reason I put this in A tier, is you have no mobility at all. If you run in the jungle and you get caught, you die. If you run a full damage build out of solo, you're going to get farmed. You can't play the game. You just die over and over again. It's more of a mid laner, in my opinion, and then kind of a jungler. The damage output is so crazy, and you still get movement speed from your 2. So if you pair that with Gem of Focus, you zoom. Like, you're running max speed, but you have no CC immunity. You have no dashes, no leaps. If you're ever out of position, you just die. So you essentially play to sit as far back as possible and just spam abilities. And then when someone does engage on you, you 3 them and try to fight them to the death. I think it is crazy damage, but it is the most glass cannon thing I've ever seen, I think, in Smite. And that's why I'm putting an A tier for now. It might be moved up to S tier if it's just so much damage that it doesn't matter. I don't know yet. So if I could, you know, like I said, Osiris aspect here, regular Osiris is S tier. I think regular Osiris is going to be the best warrior in the game. And that is scary. So there's my tier list. I know it was a long one. I've had some health issues the last 2 days. Like 3 days ago, I was having weird heart stuff going on. So I went to the doctor on Friday. They tried to run an EKG. It didn't work, or something went wrong and they didn't like it. So they sent me to the ER. I went to the ER. I was there for like 5 hours. End of the day, they said, you have COVID. And that's it. And I'm like, but I don't feel bad. And they're like, yeah, but we think COVID's causing this. So that's what I hope it is. I hope it's just some form of COVID, because I still have it. We're 4 days in where, like, I guess you call it heart palpitations, but it's weird. It's like pushing air out of my, like, it feels like I'm losing air sometimes. Not like I can't breathe, but just like you probably hear me breathing in this video more than normal. First of all, Danger's not going to edit it out because he's on a trip. Yeah, just want to let you guys know that. So if at some point video slack, that might be why. And that's why I haven't been on stream the last couple days. So hopefully you guys are doing good. Hopefully you like the video. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you in the video later tomorrow, the next day, and the next day.